The power didn't go out all at once. It hesitated, as if deciding whether to leave us alone in the dark. The lights flickered once, twice, then died. The heater sighed and went silent. Outside, the wind dragged its nails across the house, a long hollow scrape that didn't sound like weather anymore. Snow pressed against the windows so thick it swallowed the world beyond the glass. Then came the sound. A thump, deep, heavy, somewhere beneath the floor. I froze, breath caught in my chest. Old houses make noises in winter. Pipes knock. Wood settles. I told myself that. I told myself that as I reached for my phone and found no signal. No bars. No time. Just darkness and cold. Another thump. Closer. From somewhere down the road, a scream cut through the storm. Short, sharp, and suddenly gone, like someone had covered a mouth mid-cry. I stepped to the window. The streetlights were dead. Every house stood black and blind, buried in snow. No movement. No help. Only the sound of the wind. And something else beneath it. A low, almost human breathing that seemed to come from everywhere at once. My phone buzzed in my hand. One notification. No sender. Don't light anything. Before I could understand what that meant, the breathing stopped, and something in the dark whispered my name, from inside the house. The silence after the whisper was worse than the sound itself. I stood in the dark living room, phone clenched in my hand, listening to my own breathing like it didn't belong to me. The whisper had been soft, almost gentle, but it had used my name the way someone does when they're already close enough to touch you. I told myself it was the wind. I told myself the house was old. I told myself fear makes sounds out of nothing. The phone screen went black. Dead battery, or something else. I didn't know. The cold moved in quickly after that, slipping under doors, crawling up the walls. Winter doesn't wait when the power dies. It claims what it can. This wasn't supposed to be a long stay. Just a week. A quiet escape from the city after everything fell apart. The house had belonged to my uncle. Remote, cheap, unwanted. The kind of place people sell quickly or never talk about again. I hadn't asked many questions. I needed the silence. I needed distance. Now the silence felt crowded. Another sound came from below. Not a thump this time. A drag. Slow. Careful. Like something heavy being pulled across frozen ground. I edged toward the stairs, every step deliberate. The darkness thickened near the basement door, swallowing the faint gray glow leaking through the snow-covered windows. The air smelled wrong there. Damp, metallic, like old water and rust. The drag stopped. I waited. Seconds stretched thin, brittle. Somewhere far off, something cracked. Wood or ice or bone. The house answered with a long, tired groan. Hello. My voice didn't sound human. It came out thin. Breakable. Nothing replied. I found the flashlight in the junk drawer, my fingers numb as I twisted it on. The beam cut a narrow tunnel through the dark, shaking with my hands. Dust floated like ash in the light. The basement door stood slightly open. I was sure I'd closed it earlier. Sure enough to feel sick. The light touched the stairs. Something had been scratched into the wood. Not words. Not symbols. Just lines. Deep, frantic gouges that ran down each step, as if someone had tried to claw their way out. I took a step back. That's when I heard it again. Breathing. Slow. Measured. Right behind the door. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I stood there until my legs burned and my teeth chattered, until the cold felt sharper than the fear. Then a voice came from the basement. Not a whisper this time. Clear. Familiar. You shouldn't be here. It was my uncle's voice. He'd been dead for 3 years. The flashlight flickered once, and went out. The house didn't feel like it belonged to me. It belonged to the shadows that moved beneath the floorboards, the frost that crept along the walls, and the wind that whispered secrets I couldn't understand. I stayed in the living room, huddled under a threadbare blanket, listening. Every groan of the old house, every scratch against wood or glass, felt deliberate, like it was testing me. I had arrived thinking isolation would be a refuge. Instead, it became a cage. The first signs. At first, it was small. The faucet dripping long after I turned it off. The kitchen chair moved an inch from where I'd left it. A low hum through the walls when the house should have been empty. I blamed the cold, the snow, my own exhaustion. But the little things mounted. On the second night, I woke to my name being whispered in the hall outside my bedroom. Henry. The sound was almost tender, like someone calling for help, but my throat closed. I wanted to believe it was the wind. I wanted to believe my uncle's old recordings, stories of the house being tricky in the winter, were just superstition. I checked the hall. Nothing. Just the darkness, pressing and waiting. The history of the house. The next day, I wandered the rooms, flashlight in hand. The walls were covered in old photographs, yellowed faces staring down at me with unblinking eyes. Some rooms were untouched, dust thick enough to write in. Others were strangely bare, as if someone had removed objects carefully, deliberately. A neighbor came by, bundled in winter coats and suspicion. "You shouldn't be here alone," she said, eyes darting behind me. He always warned us not to stay when the power dies in winter. I asked who and what she meant. She looked away, muttering about the family history, about disappearances, about a shadow that eats through the dark. I laughed it off. I was cold, tired, alone. It made sense to imagine things. Except she wasn't joking. Whispers and shadows. Night after night, the same pattern repeated. Objects moved slightly, impossible in the weight of winter snow pressing outside. Doors I'd locked were found ajar in the morning. Whispers in the walls, sometimes a single word, sometimes my name repeated like a chant. I started keeping a journal. I had to record it, proof to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. Entry night 4. It's here. I can feel it. The house breathes, waits. It knows I'm alone. Every shadow leans toward me. I heard my uncle again. He warned me once years ago, though I didn't know until now. I shouldn't have come. The first confrontation. I woke to something cold brushing my arm. My eyes snapped open. A figure crouched in the corner of my room. Too dark to see properly, but it wasn't human. Not exactly. I stammered. Who's there? It didn't respond immediately. Then it did. "You can't leave. Not tonight. Not ever." The voice was layered. My uncle's voice, another, deeper, something older. My pulse raced. I tried to grab the flashlight. It clattered to the floor, rolling into shadow. The figure dissolved like smoke, leaving the air cold and empty. I was shaking, but I couldn't move. I knew the house had marked me. Paranoia sets in. The next days blurred. I began to question reality. I saw reflections in mirrors that weren't mine. I heard footsteps upstairs when I was alone. I swore I felt hands brush my shoulders while making coffee. Neighbors avoided me. No one believed me. Even the snow outside seemed alive, pressing against the windows with a patient cruelty. A hidden journal I found under the floorboards revealed the previous tenants' fates. They all wrote the same pattern. Isolation, whispers, disappearance. Some left notes, desperate instructions. Do not light anything after the lights fail. Do not follow the sound of your name. Do not descend into the basement. I had done all of those things. Every warning ignored. The legend comes alive. Late one night, I sat by the fireplace, staring at the dark corners of the room. My breath fogged in the cold. A story surfaced from my uncle's old letters. The house had been built over the ruins of something old. Something that didn't sleep. It thrived in darkness, in winter, when life withdrew. There was no bargaining with it. No escape. Only patience. And it had waited for me. I thought I was alone. But then I heard the breathing. Close. Too close. Right behind me. "Henry. You're mine now." I spun around. Nothing. But I knew. I had awakened it. And it was patient. It had all winter. The house no longer felt like a home. It had become a trap, breathing and shifting with intent. Every hallway stretched longer than it should. Every shadow had weight. The air was thick with something ancient, patient, and hungry. The power remained dead. I had tried the generator, the candles, even the fireplace, but every flame sputtered and died, leaving me in utter darkness. And with it came the sound, a slow, deliberate breathing that wasn't mine, echoing from every corner. I gripped the flashlight, now more a talisman than a tool. The beam trembled across the living room. Furniture had moved again. The scratch marks on the floors were deeper, fresher. And from the basement, my uncle's old domain, a soft, almost musical voice called my name. Henry. Come down. I didn't want to, but something pulled me, a gravity I couldn't resist. Each step down the stairs felt like walking into a throat. The basement smelled of damp earth and decay, but beneath it a colder, purer darkness, like the absence of light itself. At the bottom the figure waited. Not entirely human, not entirely shadow. It was my uncle, or what he had become. A hollow shell, skin pale as snow, eyes black voids that swallowed the flashlight's beam. Behind him, shadows moved as though alive, tendrils curling around the basement walls. Why are you here? I asked, voice breaking. His lips didn't move, but the voice came, layered, distorted, as if many spoke at once. Because you were always ours. Because winter claimed you. Because the power died for a reason. I tried to run, but the basement stretched impossibly. The door behind me vanished, replaced by a wall of darkness. Shadows climbed the stairs, reaching for me. Panic hit like ice. My hands fumbled for anything to strike, anything to hold on to. But the world had stopped obeying physics. Whispers filled my mind. Voices I couldn't place. Former tenants, neighbors, family long dead. Each one warned and begged, screamed, pleaded, and then came the sensation. Hands, cold, choking, pressing into my chest. I gasped, trying to scream, but sound betrayed me. My own voice was swallowed, replaced by theirs. You cannot leave. You are ours. The figure stepped closer. I could see its face, if you could call it that, a grotesque mirror of my uncle's features, stretched and wrong, smiling without warmth. Do you remember the first winter? It hissed. Do you remember when the power died before? You thought it was just a house. You thought it was a storm. But it was us. Waiting. Always waiting. I tried to fight. My flashlight struck the figure, but it passed through like smoke. Shadows pulled at my legs, dragging me down into the cold black floor. My fingers scraped concrete, or earth, or something older, deeper, writhing under me. I screamed. Or thought I did. The sound didn't leave me. It turned inside, curling in my stomach, replacing panic with terror. My mind felt unhinged, dissolving into icy clarity. I could not escape. I could not survive. Then the whispers stopped. The figure loomed over me, bending impossibly, like the ceiling itself had grown fangs. Its voice came again, a single, deliberate syllable. Forever. And the darkness consumed me. When I woke, it wasn't morning. It wasn't night. Time had folded into something fragile and endless, like the air itself refused to move. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The shadows had receded, but the absence they left was heavier than their presence. I sat in the living room, hands trembling, staring at the snow through the window. The world outside was unchanged, indifferent, a white silence broken only by the wind dragging its frozen nails across rooftops. The street was empty. No neighbors. No sirens. No help. Just the snow pressing against the glass like an accusing eye. The scratches in the floors were gone. The basement door, once a portal to the impossible, was simply there, closed, unremarkable. But I knew. I knew what had happened in the dark, what had reached for me, what had claimed part of me. The house had won, and I had been remade in its image, hollowed and sharpened into a cautionary echo. I tried to leave. I opened the front door. The snow pressed against my boots, but the world beyond looked subtly wrong. Trees bent at impossible angles, their branches clawing at the gray sky. The wind whispered my name in a slow, patient drawl. I turned back. The house watched, waiting. At night I could hear it still, the low, rhythmic breathing beneath the floorboards. It was no longer just a house. It was something alive, patient, and inevitable. I thought I had survived, but survival in that house meant something different. A piece of me had stayed behind, tangled in the darkness, a silent witness to its dominion. Sometimes, in the silence, I hear my uncle's voice, or what I think is his voice, layered over the wind. The power dies for a reason. And so will you. I haven't slept. I can't. The walls hold me in a way that cold, snow, and time cannot explain. Even in the city, in my apartment, I feel it. The slow, inevitable pull of winter, the taste of darkness beneath the tongue, the echo of a breath that isn't mine. The lights flicker sometimes. Just for a second. And when they do, I see movement in the corner of my vision. Shadows stretching, reaching, patient. I know now that what happened in that house was only the beginning. And when the winter comes again, I will hear it. Calling my name. Waiting.